Okay, so here's the deal. There's a lot of people that are facing mortgage renewal in 2026. If you signed a 5-year mortgage in 2021 when the rates were at the lowest, this may be a shock to you. So this is why it's being called mortgage renewal shock, because the payments are going to increase. Now, the good news is you are not alone. There's a lot of people that are going to be dealing with this year, and there is a way to unpack this so you can kind of take that control back. And today I'd like to show you how to do that. You might have heard that some homeowners might be looking at as much as a 26% increase in their mortgage payment. You can manage this. There are ways of managing this. I'm going to tell you how to do it, but 26% increase on a mortgage payment sounds like a really scary number. So what I want you to do first of all is take a deep breath. Boil this thing down to what it essentially is, which is a math problem. If your mortgage is coming up for renewal in 2026, you're going to be moving from a very low rate to a much higher one. The good news is the rates are not as high now as they were in 2023 and 2024, even 2025. So we've come down quite a bit in terms of what the interest rates are. They're still a long way away from where they were when you got your mortgage in 2021, but that's okay. We can manage this. So the first step in this process, and it's very easy to procrastinate and not do this. I'm famous for doing that myself, but you need to face the numbers. You need to figure out, first of all, how much do you owe on your mortgage right now? You may have already gotten some renewal papers, either from your bank or from your mortgage broker. Maybe it's in your email and you haven't looked at it, but that will include things like your current amount owing on your mortgage. It will tell you what your new interest rate is, and it will probably also tell you what your new payments are. If you're okay with all of that, that's good, but I still recommend that you take a look around and shop that number, because the renewal documents that are sent to you, this is not a foregone conclusion. It's an offer. It's an offer that your lender is making to you. So you have the ability to change lenders if it makes sense. So of course, the first step is figure out how much you owe, what your new interest rate is going to be, and what that translates into in terms of payments, okay? The next thing you can do when you have that information is you can go online and you can use a mortgage calculator. I have one right on my website. Just click in the description below. You will see it there. And all you need to do is enter in the information that will help you calculate your payments based on what your mortgage needs to be, what the current interest rates are, and how that translates into payments. And remember, when you're talking about payments, you can also do things like, if I'm on a bi-weekly payment and it comes out twice a month, I can go to monthly. You can go to weekly if you wanted to. There's a number of different ways that you can slice it so it makes sense for your cash flow and for your budget. So the nice thing about getting your arms around how much you owe on your mortgage and interest rates going forward and what the payment's going to be is just in the process of doing that, you're already going to start to feel better. Nothing's actually changed, but what you're doing is you're basically taking the control back and you're saying, I'm going to face this thing. I'm going to do this thing. It cannot be as bad as I think. And it probably won't be. Okay. So far, what you've done is you have determined what you owe on your mortgage. You understand what the potential interest rates could be going forward for both fixed and variable, because you can play with those on my website. And you have a sense of how much your payments are going to increase. Okay, you have your arms around that. So the next piece is the part that I think a lot of people miss, and that is they don't shop around on the renewal. It is easy to sign a renewal document and just sort of look the other way and not think about it. And that's okay if that's what you're comfortable with. But if you really want to get the best deal, you need to shop this around. So the first thing I tell people is contact a mortgage broker. Big banks are fine, but they only have a limited number of options to give you, maybe 4 or 5, and all of those options benefit the bank more than you. So what I say is find an independent mortgage broker. If you need somebody, I work with some really terrific people. I can certainly refer you. But the bottom line is whoever you talk to, find an independent mortgage broker that can deal with all the big banks, all the lenders, all the credit unions, and they will come back to you and they will say, that rate is okay, but I actually found a couple of different rates for you that are better. And that really matters, because even if you're only talking about a 0.25% difference in the interest rate you're being offered and another one that your mortgage broker comes to you with, that could translate into tens of thousands of dollars on your mortgage. So every tiny bit of advantage you can get when you're renewing your mortgage, huge, huge money. So let's talk about timing. Ideally, you really want to be starting this process between 4 and 6 months before your mortgage is due for renewal. That would be pretty straightforward because mostly your lenders are going to come to you within that period of time and try to lock you in as soon as possible. That's a big benefit to them because it makes them a lot of money. If you can start 4 to 6 months in advance, that's great. But the reality is most of us are pretty busy. That might be tough. So I would say the sooner you can take a look at it, the better, because every day that goes by could be a day that your mortgage broker is negotiating for you to get a better rate. So get this in the hands of the people that really know what they're doing and give them the information you have. And then at least you can make a decision and a determination about the next 2 or 3 or 5 years that you're signing up for. You can make that decision with all the information. One of the questions I get all the time when I'm working with mortgage brokers is, how do they get paid? Do I have to pay them? Mortgage brokers typically will get compensated by the lender, which is the bank or the credit union or the mortgage company or whomever is providing your mortgage for you. Now, that's really good because that means that they're getting well compensated to protect your interests, which I love. So there's no downside there. Okay. So far, we've talked about finding out how much you owe on your current mortgage, what your future interest rate is going to be when you renew this year, and what those payments look like. We've talked about speaking to a mortgage broker, a licensed professional, to help you sort your way through this thing and go and fight for some really good rates for you. Let's say you get to the end of all of that, and it's still not quite making you happy in terms of how much money you now need to be spending on your mortgage. There's a couple of other things that you can do. One is you can talk to your mortgage broker about extending your amortization. What does that mean? It basically means you would be spreading your mortgage over a longer period of time, which reduces your payments. So let's say you've gone through all the options and your debt is such that it's just not going to work. You're not going to be able to refinance. You do need to sell. And by the way, that's a perfectly valid option. Don't think of it as giving up. It could potentially be a very smart financial decision for you and your family. Before you do that, I would make sure you've had those conversations with a mortgage broker and determined all the options that are available to you. And number 2, spoken with a realtor. I'm happy to come to your house and give you a home evaluation so you know what your home value is right now. Those 2 things will certainly help put you in a better position. If you're feeling worried about your upcoming mortgage renewal, generally speaking, my best advice is this: involve a professional in the conversation, because it's very easy to get into that worried loop and drive yourself crazy. Get the professional into the conversation. They're going to be objective, they're going to be non-emotional, and they're going to walk you through some of the real live options you have available to you. If that's the only thing that you take away from this video, I would say, please take that away, because you have a lot more control in this thing than you think you do, and you don't need to get pushed around by any banks or lenders that tell you that you have to do certain things when you don't. If you're curious about what your home is worth today, definitely get in touch with me. I can come and do a home evaluation. I can certainly do one virtually if you like. I can basically help you understand on the real estate side what your options are. If you found this video helpful, please feel free to like and subscribe and set up those post notifications. I want to make sure that I'm getting this information out to as many people as I can. The bottom line here is educating yourself is the most important thing you can do when you're talking about real estate. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.